President Obama announces his version of a surge in Syria. An additional 250 special operations forces will be deployed to help combat ISIS. Now, here at home, there are also reports that says the administration may soon release portions of the 28 pages that are missing from the 9/11 investigation. Rejoining me now, Representative Marsha Blackburn and Pete Hegseth. Representative Blackburn, 250 more specials.
Yeah.
It just always feels like too little too late. If we took President Obama at his word and ISIS is on the run, we're defeating them, why not go for the death blow once and for all?
Well, and what is frustrating to my constituents who are in the military is they feel as if the president does not listen to the commanders in the field. And we saw this with the drawdown in Iraq. We saw this with the approach in Afghanistan. We are seeing this. I'm sending in additional troops. Well, Mr. President, exactly how many are already there? And I can tell you for the 160th and the 5th Division, this is the type thing that causes concern for those families who are my constituents there in Clarksville, Tennessee.
Is it because they feel like they're not being sent there to win, or there's no clear message?
Lack of clarity.
Yeah.
Lack of clarity.
You know, Pete,
defining the mission.
Yeah, you know, Pete, 250 more soldiers. President Obama, of course, taking great pains to say that they're not technically troops on the ground. They won't be involved in fighting, but training. You know, it's always the political part of this that comes before the actual, to Representative Blackburn's point, the clarity of the mission itself.
To her point, indeed. Tell that to the 101st, the area that Representative Blackburn represents. These guys do have their boots on the ground. You had 250 in Syria. You had the 217 that they announced earlier this week, but only 217. No higher than that. I mean, it's a political numbers game run by the NSC inside the White House, not the Defense Department. We're not using all the assets that are available to us to defeat and crush the caliphate, and as a result, we push this down the road. And we don't have the reliable partners on the ground, and because we don't, we still won't untie the hands of our own special operators to do what they need to do. Therefore, no one leads. And the gains we have made in Syria have been made by Kurdish troops, which are good. But ultimately, you're going to need some Arab allies or others, local allies, to take Raqqa and take Mosul as well. So a lot of variables that aren't currently in place, none of which will happen unless America leads and this president goes all in against ISIS, which 250, God bless those guys, is just not going to be enough.
So, Pete, essentially what you're saying is that it's inevitable with this sort of strategy that any gains that we have made, we're going to give them back at some point.
Well, will we not learn the lessons of the Iraq surge? I mean, clearly this president has not learned it. He won't surge. He slow drips. He slow drips without leadership, without clarity of who the enemy is and what the mission scope is going to be. So the black flag of ISIS flies. Our troops are demoralized because they don't have a clear mission. And then he tells the American people we don't have boots on the ground. How is that a recipe for defeating the most vicious terrorist army the world has ever seen? It isn't. And for Representative Blackburn and the troops who she represents, they're frustrated. They're throwing their hands up saying, when will we have a commander-in-chief who actually is in it to win it?
Let me ask you real quick about this 9/11 report. A lot of people speculating the role of Saudi Arabia. I don't think you've read it. I think I read somewhere that Ted Cruz has read it. So should we see that? Should the American public have a chance to see what's going on, even if it means that Saudi Arabia is somehow implicated in the 9/11 attack?
Right. This is the 28 pages of the 838 report page report that Congress did. Yes, I think it is time for us to be able, for the American people, to look at this and get the full picture. And you know, I
even if it means that our allies played a big role in 9/11.
I think people want to know the truth, and the American people deserve to know the truth. We are 15 years past. Let's have the report out there.
I'm with you. Thank you very much. Really appreciate you coming on set.